Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of anywhere else? And that's because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time, they talk down to us, they think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about the Lakers versus the Nuggets, and, can the Lakers actually come back and win this series? We know Nick Wright seems to think so. So I'm really curious to see. I don't have a whole lot to say at the top of this clip because I really want to see what Nick has to say, because I'm pretty sure Wilds and Brew don't think that the Lakers have any chance at winning this series, but Nick seems to think that they still can. So I'm curious if he's readjusted his mindset here. So let's take a listen and we'll break it down from there.
Okay. I mean, listen.
I told you this.
Here's the deal. And I apologize because I don't want to be unfair. But the Lakers, if you watch them night in, night out, they're obviously not a well-coached team. And I feel that I think it's tangible. I think you can see it. And I think that we have no problem saying, in the series we just watched, or we just talked about, that is a coaching mismatch. That is Eric Spoelstra, Joe Mazzulla, and Joe Mazzulla is in his second year as a head coach, who got to a conference finals last year, we are saying, potentially coaching for his job in this postseason. But because I feel like in the media at large, there's a little bit of a Calvin ball when it comes to what we are and aren't allowed to criticize when it comes to LeBron James coaches, right? It's like, oh, okay, you can't criticize Frank Vogel because he won a championship. So that's a weird thing, right? Because he won a championship, in my opinion, because of LeBron's greatness, so now in AD. So now he's uncriticizable, but now he's in Phoenix, and he's going to get fired here in about 10 days, and everyone's fine with it.
I'm not trying to be fresh, but I don't understand what you're saying.
So Vogel got criticized. That's the thing. LeBron's coaches get criticized.
Correct. And then I think when it comes to when we have talked about Frank Vogel on this show, it has been, what, you wanted more from Frank Vogel? What do you want? He won a championship.
Yeah,
LeBron wanted him to get exactly. That's your take.
More respect.
That's your take.
Right.
I don't think he was very good. I don't think he was good in Orlando. I don't think he was good in Los Angeles. They won a championship despite it. I don't think he's done a good job in Phoenix. He was great in Indiana, first stop. I don't think Darvin Ham's done a good job. I don't think anyone can point to anything that he's done a good job. Now,
If you think that he's a bad coach, then why the other day were you heaping all this blame on KD for not being successful? Just saying, you got to be consistent here. If you don't think he's being a terrible coach, then you can't say, well, why can't KD just overcome this?
Change this series? I don't know. I know the last game literally was as close as it possibly could have been. And we think Mike Malone's an excellent coach. So do I think the Lakers are frustrated? Yes. Do I think that they are right now at a massive coaching deficit, similar to what we're dealing with in Miami, Boston? I do. Do I think people are hesitant to that because they think it's like protecting LeBron? Yeah, that's what I think.
But he's getting criticized.
Yeah.
Ham is on the hot seat.
So you agree he's on the hot seat?
I'm not saying he should be.
I don't get it, because how is that protecting LeBron by not criticizing Darvin Ham? If anything, criticizing the coach protects the player because it's putting the blame on the coach. So I'm genuinely confused here. Unless I'm missing something. If I am, please let me know in the comments below, because I genuinely don't understand. I really, really don't. I find this highly confusing. Because the way I'm looking at it is, Nick is kind of floundering right now, because he said that the Lakers were going to win in 6. And now he's like, well, it's all because of the coach. And we're not allowed to criticize the coach because of, LeBron James and blah, 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 blah. And that's why they're even confused. That's why Wild was like, I don't mean to be fresh, but I don't really know what you're saying. And Brew's like, wait, what are you talking about? They criticize Vogel. They criticize Darvin Ham. They criticize Tyronn Lue. So I don't get what Nick Wright is even remotely trying to say. They're an inferior team. with inferior players, with inferior coaching. Top to bottom, they're not good. Outside of obviously LeBron James and AD, I will take all the other players for Denver Nuggets over Austin Reeves and D'Lo. I don't care about those players. They're nothing. And Rui, I don't care. There's some nice pieces. I will take any of the other people on Denver, whether it be obviously Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. I'm taking those pieces any day of the week. They're just not a good team. And we at least admit now that Michael Malone is an excellent coach, and that matters. That matters.
But he's being scapegoated.
So, but is it a scapegoat if you're the problem?
Was he a bad coach when they won the in-season tournament? Was he a bad coach when they were
Nick
up
Wright
20?
is so backwards.
Do
Unbelievable.
you see what I'm saying? Now does what
No,
I was saying
I'm
make more
asking.
sense?
Well, yeah, but I got confused about the Vogel stuff.
Listen to what
Do
he
you see
just
what I'm
said.
saying? Now,
Season tournament? Was he a bad coach when they were up 20?
so this is my point.
Wait.
seat.
So you
It's not
agree
like
he's
people
on the
are-
hot seat?
I'm not saying he should be, but he's being scapegoated.
So, but is it a scapegoat if you're the problem?
Was he a
is-
bad?
So then why is Sean McDermott not the problem for the Buffalo Bills? Why is that not the why is it Josh Allen get the blame when we know his coach and no OC and all that? Why is that not? Huh? Why don't you allow that? And if coaches matter so much, why don't you why don't we ever admit that Patrick Mahomes has benefited from any of the other players? I don't want to go on that whole thing, but this is the inconsistency in Nick Wright that really drives me crazy, because he wants to throw all these other players to the wolves. KD, Joel Embiid, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. I could keep going on and on and on. I want to stick to basketball. I'm trying to think of other players that he's recently, said are not that good or an issue. I can't understand how, when he wants to pick and choose, he's the master at this. He just picks and chooses when he wants a variable to matter. Going into this series, he knew Darvin Ham was an inferior coach. He knew that. And he said that the Lakers were going to win in 6. Now Darvin Ham is a problem. Not to mention, after game 1, he said, I think there's nothing that Darvin Ham could have done differently. He coached fine. There was no magical moves that Darvin Ham could pull that would have made them win that game. So I don't understand. And I'm not saying that Ham isn't a problem for the Lakers. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, what Nick is so inconsistent here that it's actually difficult to follow. And if you don't really watch this show regularly, you'll be convinced kind of easily by what he's saying. But it's just, the inconsistency is just, it's suffocating at this point.
Bad coach when they won the in-season tournament? Was he a bad coach when they were up 20?
So this is my point. Do you see what I'm saying? Now does what I
No,
was saying
I'm
make more
asking.
sense?
Well, yeah, but I got confused about the Vogel stuff, because you're saying Vogel was a mediocre coach, but LeBron and AD's greatness were able to overcome it.
And
Now, Darvin Ham's a mediocre coach, but
Might be worse.
No,
might be
you know
worse,
what
and they're
it
not
is.
able to overcome it.
Yeah, they're
and
older and it's a harder opponent.
LeBron is an awesome, obviously, player. When he wins, it's LeBron's credit. When he doesn't, his teammates and his coaches get blamed. We have seen that time and time again.
Except I guess
every
here-
stop.
So, but that's not.
Spoelstra was being criticized.
Wait, who just screamed?
I guess
Every
here-
stop.
So, but that's not.
Spoelstra was being criticized
So
when
that's
he
what
was
I
in
about to
Miami.
say. So I disagree with that. Spoelstra, LeBron, his first year there, LeBron and Wade went to Riley and complained about Spoelstra, and then Riley said no, and now Spoelstra is universally recognized as a great coach.
But he wasn't then.
In the moment, like I think by
Was
the
he
end of the
doing
run,
something wrong?
he wasn't. Spoelstra wasn't scapegoated for them losing the 4th finals. No, he wasn't.
No, I'm talking about the first year. They wanted. Spoelstra was getting criticized. Was
Yes,
he not a
and
good?
that
Now,
was-
obviously, he's a better coach.
Better coach now.
But my point is this. All right. Michael Malone is a great coach.
Yes.
He's up there with Spoelstra.
I agree.
So they do have a coaching advantage.
Yes.
But I want to address Anthony Davis.
Oh, wow.
What he said. We didn't know what we were doing, okay, out there. at times. That is making an excuse. That is passing the buck. That is looking for a scapegoat, and that is not the mentality that's going to get you back in this series.
Yeah.
Right?
They're blaming the refs.
No.
Yes, right. Look.
No, I totally disagree with that. Saying we look lost out there is saying that I'm not happy with how things are going on the court. It's not looking for a scapegoat or an excuse. It's saying, and it's just another way of saying we're not playing good enough. Himself, he's including himself in that. That's why he's saying we. Like, we need to be better. We look lost out there. Like, what do you want him to say? Like, that's his honest explanation of what's happening out there. Now, I don't think they look lost out there personally. I just think that they're an inferior team. But if that's his experience on the court, that maybe, when they do, lose a 20-point lead and he's seeing, like, well, what the heck, why can't we stop this bleeding? Like, we're not doing some of the things that we're supposed to be doing. I don't see that as an excuse. I've been, in games where things are going well or things are going terribly wrong and things like, switch, on the dime. And it is that feeling of like we look lost out there. So it's like you can't stop them from scoring and you can't score on them, right? That's how these teams close the gap. That's how they come back, by 20. Almost by definition, every time a team comes back by 15, 20 points, the other team looks lost because they can't stop them and they can't score at a high enough rate that keeps that lead extended. So that's just like AD's way of explaining his experience, and you're asking him questions and he has to give you an answer. I don't see it as him coming up with an excuse. That's not equivalent to blaming the refs. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. That makes no sense to me.
In the mirror, because Anthony, I know what you were doing. Nothing. In the fourth quarter, you were doing nothing. You played 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 55 seconds to be exact. You took one shot. Did you take one shot? You got one rebound. You had 0 points. But that's Darvin Ham's fault. You have the clout, my man, to say, give me the ball. I've been killing these dudes for 2 quarters. Give me the ball. You didn't do that. You know what happened? Aaron Gordon muscled you up. We know you don't like physical play. Aaron Gordon muscled you up, and you were looking for Darvin or Phil Handy or somebody to give you some advice. What can I do with this dude?
That's what the coaches are for.
That's
their job.
Well, okay, if they didn't tell you, I'm going to tell you.
Okay, but you were...
Anthony, I'm going to tell you. Big boy him.
Okay.
What does Chris mean by big boy him? The same thing Nikola Jokic did to you.
Okay, that's
all
fine.
right. When it was time in the fourth quarter for a bucket, he backed you down and put a bucket over you while being fouled, if I'm not mistaken. That's what you need to do to Aaron Gordon because he's smaller than you. Is that enough?
Okay,
Is that somebody telling you what to do?
Okay, Brew, can I tell you something? As someone who's watched 70 Lakers games this year, I wish you were the coach. And so there is, like, you know what? You've sold me on it. And so but Wilds, now maybe I didn't explain it properly.
No, I get it.
But I think Brew's response to me was kind of the frustration part. It's like whenever they succeed, it is used as evidence that's a good coach. But by that same logic, then when they fail, it has to, then is that evidence it's a bad coach? Or can we evaluate it and look at it? Yeah. Just like we are with Mazzulla versus Spoelstra. And we think that is a big deficit. Just like Mazzulla, whose resume right now looks great. But you are...
Why does he never do that for the players and teams that he does not like? What he's saying is true, is 100% accurate, and I agree with that. But he never wants to apply that logic to the teams he does not like. He does not do that for the Bengals, for the Chargers, for the Bills, for the Eagles. He doesn't do that to any of these other players, any of these other teams. He doesn't do that for, as I already said, the Sixers and Embiid and any of this other stuff. So that doesn't make any sense. And guess what? What he's saying about the Celtics, no, there's way more blame on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown than Mazzulla, than the coach for the Celtics. No question. People are talking way more about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Can they do it? Are they good enough? Yada yada yada. So I disagree with that. It's really comical that this is what Nick does, and I don't get why Brew or Wilds they let him get away with that. Quite honestly, because it's so inconsistent. He only does that to his teams that he likes. He only does that for the Chiefs, the Mavericks, the Lakers. Like, it's bizarre to me. I mean, that is pure bias. That is pure bias. And I'm not sure if he does it on purpose and he just knows, hey, listen, I can say whatever I want 4 weeks ago because it doesn't matter. Whatever I said a few months ago during the football season and about Josh Allen and the Bills, it doesn't matter because that's a fart in the wind at this point, man. No one even remembers that. Only like the real obsessive people on the internet know. But otherwise, I'm just going to say whatever I want because this is how it makes sense in my argument. Because in a lot of ways, that's what you do in the court of law or debate. When you debate, whatever you're saying in this moment, if you're like in a debate club or, some sort of like true, professional debate, whatever happened weeks ago, it doesn't matter. It only matters what is in this moment and whatever you can say to win an argument. So it's just really fascinating to me. And like I said, though, I personally find it exhausting because I really strive to find more nuance. And the fact that he's never said this and never granted this to other teams and other players and coaches. Again, the best example is the Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, since he, rails on Josh Allen and the Bills so much. It's just, that's just crazy. It really, really is, because it's just so contradictory. It really, really is. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think about Nick saying that, hey, it's okay to blame the coach if he's the problem? And, what do you think about the Lakers looking lost? And can the Lakers actually come back against the Nuggets? Let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I really, really, really would love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.